Wow, I never thought I'd see the day, but here it is.
I mean, just wow, it really is just so awesome to play one of my favorite games on a modern day system. Now, before I continue, I should state this up front that this isn't a review of the game itself, as I've already done a review of it, but rather a review of the version that was released for the Xbox One. And to quickly sum up that review, I basically said that although many aspects of GoldenEye are outdated, the game is still a great shooter even all these years later. Now, to start off this review, I will be honest and say that what we got was not exactly what I was expecting. When the rumors of this game were circling around, they were that the Nintendo Switch version was going to be a straight-up port of the original game, while the Xbox version was going to be a remaster. You know, with like brand new graphics and new control scheme. It was also said that the game would not only go straight to Xbox Game Pass, but it would also be free if you owned a copy of Rare Replay, as it should be. Which excited me until it turned out that this was only for people who owned it digitally, because of course it was. And the other big piece of information was that the Switch version was going to get online multiplayer, while the Xbox version was only going to get local multiplayer. And now that the game is out, what is true and what is false? And was this the re-release that was worth waiting 26 years for? Let's find out. Now, what is false is that obviously, as you could see, the graphics are the same way they were in the original game, basic blocky polygons and all, which is a bit of a letdown, especially considering that there was a found version of this game for the Xbox 360 arcade store that had the graphics upgraded, so it's questionable why they didn't do anything here. But that's not to say that nothing was done at all, as the draw distance is very much improved, so much to the point that you could actually see people turn into a mess of blocks when they get far enough away from you. And there's improved lighting as well, so you could finally actually see what you're doing in jungle and statue. Now we have what is true, which is that this version is complete with a control rework, and damn does it feel so smooth. No longer do I have to aim with the stiff and jagged control stick of the Nintendo 64 controller, or be stuck only being able to move in 4 directions with the C buttons. And man, I can't begin to tell you how great it is to actually aim in and be able to move around instead of being planted into the ground and only being able to lean. Although in the same breath, I do kinda miss it and hope it's actually still in the game somewhere. Like you could activate it somehow, because it did have its purpose. It was useful to use against enemies and sentry turrets especially. And of course, all the other functions work perfectly where they have been placed, with the B button being now how you prone, the X button being reload, and the bumpers being how you change your weapons. Of course, this control scheme is much like a Call of Duty, but if you wanted to change it, just like in the original game, you could do so in the pause menu. And now moving on to the other thing that was true, which is, unfortunately, the Xbox version has no form of online multiplayer, only local. Which, I mean, it is good that it's here, because it wouldn't be GoldenEye without its legendary multiplayer component. It just sucks that, in this version at least, it hasn't evolved past 1997 and the living room. And this hits harder for me, as I never got to experience the multiplayer back when I was a kid, and so even now, I still can't unless I get the Switch version. But that's just how it is. And hey, maybe one day online could end up being added in, although I doubt it. Alright, to wrap this up, I'm going to go over the few problems that I saw while playing. And these problems arise from the fact that this is basically an emulation of the original game, and just like any emulated game, it doesn't run 100% like it would on the original console. And these issues were the graphics not being completely stable, the enemies sometimes getting stuck in the wall, not spawning in properly, or not reacting to a non-silenced weapon being shot. And there was also definitely a seemingly higher use of enemies using grenades, which was weird. But in the end, despite these minor hiccups and being robbed of online play, this is still a great port that I am truly ecstatic finally came out, so the legacy of this FPS legend can live on. Or in other words,
Yes, this was worth waiting 26 years for. Well, now that we have this, we have no use for you. Bye-bye.